What's up to all my freelancers, creators, and designers? This is Nathan with another episode of Freelance Jumpstart TV. And in this episode, we are going to get into the difference between marketing and branding. Marketing and branding are similar in certain aspects, but there is a difference between the two as well as a correlation. And I believe the key to having a successful marketing campaign or branding campaign is being able to discern the difference between each of these terms. There was a video that was released by Donald Miller. Now, Donald Miller has a company called StoryBrand, and they really help different companies with their marketing and branding. But in this, he was very specific about marketing. He mentioned that he worked with a company and that they needed to put majority of their money in marketing, and branding wasn't really important. I'll let you look at the video and you can see exactly what I'm saying and why this, in a sense, triggered many designers online.
I think marketing is more important than branding. I was helping a giant company, about a $400 million company recently, but they were in decline. That company was going down, and they brought me in to help them out. I'm around the room with all their executives. We're around a big table, and we're talking through their strategy. And I mean, everything that they were talking about was branding. And I actually think they have a great brand. They don't need any work on their branding. They need to do marketing. Branding is when you make somebody feel a certain way about your brand. It is important. Branding, though, is a luxury. I think you need to be making about $500 million before you even start thinking a whole lot about branding. I mean, get your colors right in your logo and that sort of stuff. But branding, people have to be familiar with your brand in order to be trained to feel a certain way about your brand. Until then, you need to do marketing, because marketing is really where you make your money. Marketing is when you tell somebody to buy your product and you explain why they should buy your product.
So in this video, it would seem like Donald Miller leans more on the marketing side. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're not familiar with him, he does talk a lot about branding. So he did even out a little bit of what he said, but ultimately he did mention something in the video that bothered me and bothered some other people. He said branding was a luxury. And he somewhat was getting at the fact that branding is not something that you do on the upfront and upmost. It's something that comes later as you get more popular, as people buy your services. Then you can start investing more in branding. And I don't view this as correct. Now, maybe Donald Miller was talking more specifically about the business he was working with. He did mention that they had a great brand and they needed to focus on marketing over branding. Now, Donald Miller didn't disclose who this company was, right? He didn't go into any detail about the industry the company was a part of or even name the company. So I'm not sure if the advice he's giving is more specific to the company itself or it has some relation to all companies in general. We don't know that. But regardless, when he said branding was a luxury, that somewhat stuck out to me because I feel that branding is something that is just as important, if not more important, than marketing itself. I'm not saying this because I am a designer. Actually, my core competency before I even learned design was more heavily on marketing itself. It was marketing and marketing analysis, looking at data, coming up with different tactical methods to market to someone. So I'm on the marketing side as well, but I wouldn't view one as more important than the other. Really what's triggering a lot of this conversation is the fact that we need to define things the right way. So rather than go back and forth and argue over branding versus marketing, marketing versus branding, let's specifically look at how best marketing can be defined and how best branding can be defined, and that will give a clue as to how we need to think about things. When looking at a definition of marketing, I think one of the best places we can go is Seth Godin, who is a world-renowned marketing expert and author, and he had the following to say. Seth Godin says, if you need to persuade someone to take action, you're doing marketing. So simply put, if there's a desired action you want someone to take, right? Or if there's a desired goal someone wants to get to and you have a product or service or something that can help that person reach that goal, that need, or take that action, then putting messaging in front of them, no matter if it comes out in video, writing, or it's an advertisement, whatever it might be, putting something in front of them in hopes that they would take action, that is marketing. When looking at a definition for branding, also a great place to go is something that Marty Neumeier said, and Marty Neumeier wrote the book Brand Gap, and a lot of his thoughts are spot on as it pertains to branding. He said the following: a brand is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or organization. So branding, in a sense, is more general in a sense, and you're trying to speak about a company or a product as a whole, but regardless, he said a key word: feeling. So when looking at the difference between marketing and branding, we really are looking at the difference of getting someone to take an action or a desired action versus how someone feels, right? And how someone feels when they are taking that desired action. So branding is more than just aesthetics. It has a lot to do with how someone feels. And let's just look at an example in terms of how marketing and branding comes to play. So let's say you go to a restaurant, right? You're looking to go to a restaurant and you want to go there, and maybe you've never been there before. So in a sense, if you've never been there before, one thing that you're looking at is, how do you know about the restaurant to begin with? Maybe it's word of mouth. Maybe it's an advertisement that you saw on social media. Maybe it's something you saw in the newspaper. Maybe it's restaurant week in the city that you live in and they're promoting. Some type of promotion or marketing will catch your attention because you need to take a desired action. Or maybe you receive something in the mail. You get a note in the mail and they're inviting you to a brand new restaurant. Now, here's the key. Marketing puts something in front of you, and now you are looking to perhaps go to this restaurant you've never been to before. It's brand new. Now, here's the second part of it. Now you're trying to make a decision on whether or not you should go to this restaurant, and you're going to make a decision on feeling. You're going to make a decision based on how much you trust the company itself, the reviews online, word of mouth from your friends, even photography and photos of pictures of the food. You're going to look at all these different elements to help you make an informed decision on if you feel this is a good decision to go eat at this place. Not only that, but all of those things you looked at, the reviews, the photos, maybe even they have a website and you're looking at it. All of that is building trust on whether or not you'll make a decision on this desired action. That is a key word: trust. Branding builds trust. And I would say it like this: marketing is putting a message in front of somebody and getting them to take a desired action, but really, marketing gets people through the door, but branding builds trust that will keep them there. So all the marketing in terms of the messaging that was put out there to get people to the door is one thing. When people actually arrive, branding is going to keep them there. This is the aesthetics, how they're treated by the staff that's at the establishment, how is the service, how's the actual product, how's the actual food. All of those things make up an overall feeling or encapsulate the brand. And if you've defined your brand the right way, that entire experience will go well. And now someone knows, I now trust you. And if somebody actually trusts you, now that means that they're familiar with your brand. And now when they see your brand, they'll think about the fact that you're a trusted source to give them whatever action that is that they need. So again, branding is a feeling. Marketing is getting someone to take an action. But is that the only thing? I believe agency founder, designer, and educator Chris Do did a great job going a little deeper in explaining what are different elements that make up marketing. So it's not just this large general term. There's more specific things about that, and this is what he had to say.
I think in his book, The One-Page Marketing Plan, written by Alan Dibb, he describes this actually really kind of interesting scenario. He says, so like the circus is coming to town and this is your business and you have an elephant and you paint or a sign on the elephant. He's, oh, that's called promotion. Okay. And then you bring the elephant and march him into town and it happens to trample flowers. That's called publicity. And then the mayor is upset that you've trampled his flowers, but you talk it over and he's okay with it. That's called public relations. And if you hand out a bunch of flyers saying the circus is coming to town, that's called advertising. And if you have people come up to the booth near the tent and ask questions about the circus. I think he calls that sales. And he said, if you design the whole thing, that's called marketing.
So we see that there's many different parts that make up marketing. You have promotion, publicity, public relations, advertising, and sales. All of these different areas make up what marketing is. So I would even say when it pertains to marketing, overall, there's a certain idea you need to have when it comes to marketing. But all those different areas I mentioned, they have different tactics on getting someone to take a desired action. If you're looking at something that has publicity, in the example of a restaurant, you want a restaurant reviewer to come along and give you a favorable review so people take the desired action of coming to your restaurant. If it's advertising, then maybe you are taking out ads that are on social media or different ads on pay-per-click advertising or even sending direct mail flyers or coupons to people's door. That's advertising, but it's a different tactic that goes along with advertising that all falls under marketing. All in all, marketing has all the things that look like promotion, publicity, public relations, advertising, sales. It has all those areas. That's marketing. But how you feel each step of the way is branding. So again, marketing and branding, they're not really separate. They're layered on top of one another. Branding is creating a consistent feeling using visuals and experiences that let the user know they can trust the brand to be faithful to who they are. In other words, we talked about a lot. We talked about the definition of marketing. We talked about the definition of branding, everything from Seth Godin to Marty Neumeier to Donald Miller, even with what Chris Do said. We talked about all those things. But if I was able to distill everything that we just talked about down to a single principle, it would be this. Marketing is about getting people to make a change. So they're doing something and it's not a certain desired action that relates to the business, and you want them to take an action. So in other words, you want them to change, you want them to join, you want them to come out where they are and bring them to where you would like them to be. The hope is that where you want them to be will make their life better. That truly is marketing. Marketing is about getting people to change. However, branding is about consistency. Branding is about the consistency in which your company goes about trying to get someone to make that change. So marketing is a world of asking people to change, but branding is, regardless of if we're asking you to change or how we're asking you to change, we are consistently someone who we want you to trust when you are looking to facilitate change. So come to us whenever you need to make a change in a certain area. That is what branding does, and that is the power of branding. One final example I would give is simply this. Let's look at the sports apparel world. So if I say sports apparel, sportswear, fitness, what companies come to your mind? The companies that come to your mind are those who have built up a brand. Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, Reebok, Champion, different people like this come to mind because they've built up a brand. And they're saying you can trust us for your fitness needs. That's the power of branding. Advertising can't beat what comes to the top of my mind when they haven't even spent anything of an ad and putting it in front of me. It just comes to my mind, and branding has done that. Now, I will admit, if you're trying to build up your business, there's something to think about. How much marketing should you do over branding? Which one should happen? What should come first? So on and so forth. Really, I look at it like in the beginning, you really need a stronger brand than you do marketing. Now, hear me out. Marketing will get people through the door to buy your product and partake of your service and work with you, right? And hopefully you have a good product, a good service. So when people interact with it, they say good things about you. However, with so many substitutes that exist out there, so many other things that have what it is that you have to look good enough. The experience has to be immersive enough and impactful enough to get someone to trust you over someone else. So don't try to compete with larger companies that have huge marketing budgets that put their ads everywhere. Focus on experience. When someone does come through the doors to buy whatever it is that you have, or maybe you did start a restaurant, they're coming to your restaurant, the paramount thing is branding. They need a good experience. Because if you have a sale and they never come back, that's probably not what you wanted. And again, marketing gets them through the door, but branding will keep them there. Thank you for taking the time to check out this video. I greatly appreciate it. If you like anything I had to say, give this video a thumbs up. Also, I want to hear, what are your thoughts as it relates to marketing versus branding? What's your definition of branding? I'd love to see that and read that. Put that in the comments. What's your definition of branding? I want to see and compare what different people think and what they feel is more important, branding or marketing. Either way, for a successful business, you need both, and they need to work together well, but you also need to remember and know which one to lean on at any given time. Well, until the next one, I will catch you later. See ya.